Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope everybody is doing well. I will probably post this to both channels. I am still playing with how I am going to work Berean Gen 03. It's going to be mostly a spiritual channel, but the high strangeness definitely plays into that because I believe it is how we see the spiritual side operating in our own physical reality every single day. So without further ado, this is more of a Truman-esque high strangeness that happened to me today. And I will just say, again, it's been boom, 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 boom. I mention something or I look at something, I see something, and then something else follows up with that of the same type. Okay, you'll see what I mean when we go along, but first I have to take you back and remind you of something. Now, I knew what to Google, so all I did was Google the year and military and DNA testing, and the link came up that I was looking for. Now, if you notice the date that this happened, this announcement came out at the same time as a certain event that went worldwide that we are still now dealing with, what I lovingly refer to as the masquerade. And again, this is not a medical channel. I'm not giving medical advice. I do not give out medical advice. Anything that deals with that, even in the peripheral, is more than likely a movie review or something of that nature. And anything I share is due to the Fair Use Act from 1972, and I think 77 it was updated. So now that that's out of the way. So the Pentagon warns military personnel against at-home DNA testing from companies such as 23andMe and Ancestry have become popular holiday gifts, but the military is warning service members of risks to their careers. Now, why would they warn about something like this that is tested through needles, which is ironically in the same type of category as the event that went worldwide in this same month and year? We are now dealing with the fallout from that and the cocktails that some people have decided to opt for, some opted against. And again, I'm not saying what you should do either way. I'm just saying that is what we are seeing take place in our society. And so this happened then. Now, what happened to me today is I was on Amazon looking for a few things, and this was pushed at me. Now, I'm going to do a video very soon about allegedly where my bloodline comes from, and it is definitely of the high strange variety. So stay tuned for that, and these videos are going to upload boom, 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 because again, tomorrow is never promised, though I do believe death is almost entirely an illusion, and one day we'll get to that and the missing graves from the 1800s and all of that. But it's enough for me just to say at this point, don't fear. Most of this is about having people in a state of constant confusion, fear, and paranoia. And they succeeded with me for a while, and that is why I took some of my videos down, is because they were coming from a place of fear. Although the information might have been good, the intent may have been good, the emotion behind the video might have come from a place of fear. And so I want to do some of them over again. It wasn't because I got harassed or tormented. Those people aren't going to get attention any longer from me. So just this morning I was looking at the 23andMe Ancestry things because Ancestry.com likes to lock me out. Every time I go in there to do anything, I get locked out. So I don't pay for their services. I paid for 1 month and I'll never pay them again because they never let me do anything past my grandparents. And that's what I'm needing and wanting to do because my mother was adopted. Even though it was an open adoption, she was still adopted. So I have this in-law that I have always had a lot of respect for, and My life went insane after the eclipse. Now, the eclipse, I noticed people started to change, and that's when I started having dreams of the high strangeness kind. I look back now and I don't think that they were dreams. They have a lot in common with alien abductions, but I referred to them as dreams of fallen angels. Although one of them, I wonder at if they were indeed fallen, because when I said no about something, they seem to have listened. They seem to obey consent, and that's what we're going to talk about a lot on the Berean Gen 03 channel if you're interested in learning about consent and how to keep a lot of the spiritual negativity at bay right now through your own words and your own power, and through what I believe is the power of a creator, the maker. You might want to check that channel out. So I have this woman that I always respected. She's an in-law of mine. And she was always very kind to me at family gatherings, even though her voice was a higher timbre, which always is indicative of somebody lying. Go to any body language channel and you'll learn that. Go to any Psychology 101 book and you'll see that when somebody's voice goes to a higher timbre, chances are that that person is lying to you. But she was always kind to me, always open to me. She didn't talk a lot about her personal situation. She was more of like a hostess type of person for parties and events, but she was still very gracious to me and gave me an heirloom at one of the last Christmas parties around 2016, 2017, and called me family. And then after the eclipse, after that last Christmas, I saw her when I was taking care of my father-in-law, who was like in the process of dying, and he said that I wasn't family, that I wasn't his blood. And then shortly thereafter, she screamed at me, what was I doing there? I wasn't family. And that was right before my trip to Florida. And Florida, when I came back from Florida, everything was totally different. And that was 2018. My life changed dramatically. It started probably about 2 years before it hit the world stage. And that's what I've been talking about primarily on my other channel. I'm going to get back to that, but again, I'm going to do it now from a lens of retrospection. I have a better idea of what happened, what is happening now, and I think I can be more help to people now that I'm at more peace with things, and now that I'm not coming from a place of fear, and now that I know my own power, and I hope to empower others with their same, with their same ability, with your own ability that is inherent, that we have been endowed by the Creator. We are sovereign. We don't have to allow anyone to tell us what to do or when to do it. We decide that for ourselves, and I think it's important to retain that, and that's why I don't vote either, and that's why I don't argue about politics, because it's really just not that important, but it is that important to retain your sovereignty, and I would encourage you not to vote, and see how your life changes, Now, we're going to go over, let me see if I can, are you going to do it for me? There we go. So after looking at that, I had emailed this loved one a couple of days ago because I had been gaslighted about her, about how she's terrible, this, that, and the other. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to reach out, because every time the world tells me not to do something, I know usually I should do it. So I reached out to her, told her how much I had always admired her and how much I missed her, this, that, and the other. And I hoped that she was well. And she invited me to a sip and paint, which is weird because I just said to my spouse, I was like, it's too bad I quit drinking, mostly, because, especially in public, though, I've quit, going out and drinking. I'll have, a couple glasses of wine at home, a couple of beers, but I do not ever get drunk anymore. I like to retain, again, my sovereignty, my self-control, and it causes dissipation of your Holy Spirit, so I won't get drunk. That's my choice. That's what I choose to do with my body. What you choose to do is your choice. Anyways, so this woman emailed me about ancestry, about doing the sip and paint. So I was like, okay, maybe. And she said, do you care if my niece goes? She was adopted out of the family. And I was like, well, that's your decision. My mom was adopted. I totally understand. And she's like, I never knew that about you. And I was like, well, yeah, most people didn't ask about me. And that's just the life I've led. People didn't really seem to care too much about me. I was just always the one doing the tending to and caring for of others. So then this morning, she starts messaging me about DNA testing. And again, you have to be very careful on social media because you never know who you're talking to. And I included the messages here just as kind of like proof because it reminded me of Truman about where she is being, she's pushing and basically doing a commercial for Mocha in the middle of talking with Truman in their own kitchen. And he's like, who are you talking to? All I can think of is either A, she's pushing this at me because of the company affiliation in some way, or it's not really her, or somebody is after my DNA in some way, shape, or form, because I don't even go get my hair cut anymore. I won't do that. I don't consent to anyone having any part of my being in that way. So it says there are actually people, and now watch for the red flags, or at least the highlights. There are actually people called DNA angels. And again, most of you know why that would set off alarm bells for me. That would help you get answers for free. Just reading other stories are somewhat comforting to know that you are not alone. And I'm big on that. I always comment to people, you're not alone, you're not alone. And it really makes me wonder, is AI just regurgitating things it sees? Is it just spewing things out? Is this really who I'm talking to? If I'm talking to AI, I suspect that the whole sip and paint thing will be canceled somehow on her end. Something will happen. If this is really her, then again, something is really off with people. So let's continue. DNA doesn't lie. These people really are angels. Okay, there we go again with that, angels. Check if out they are just wanting to help people get closure, find answers, and know their story. Okay, again, now watch where the typos are. The typos are very conveniently placed. They're not all over the place. Pay attention to that, especially when you're talking to people as well, because a lot of what we're dealing with here at this point in time is intentional. There's a reason and a purpose behind everything, and I can't tell you how I know that. I just do, and it's just been an experience, and we'll go through and you'll see the rest. My dad's dad was a liar. He had a second family. She's not the first person to tell me that story, and it makes me wonder how many of us, like going back to like our grandparents, how many of us actually know our real families, and if we're treated like we are because they know we're not family. I read comments when all this began on the internet about people saying about how babies were traded, about how Native American Indian babies were kidnapped and or traded for English babies, and how it kept, that's how they kept feuds from going. Well, here, if you take, and I can't think, I know there are instances of this happening in history, but basically, if you take my baby, I know that if I have your baby, you'll keep mine safe and vice versa type of thing. But only that's not quite what happened, because a lot of us were, traumatized and abused. But it really makes me wonder about our history. And AI, again, is it just regurgitating things it sees? I don't believe Britney Spears' account has been her own account for a very long time. I don't know if that girl's deceased. I don't know if she's just so isolated. I don't know if she doesn't realize she's not getting out to people. I know she allegedly moved out of the house that she's still now suddenly posting dance videos from. There's something very nefarious going on with the social media. Bam Margera, he's dealing with the same type of issues, and I have no doubt that I am. I don't know if I'm even reaching real people at this point in time, but let's continue. People spin stories, have different memories, not DNA. There are rules to get help. They spell everything. Spell everything out is what I would think she meant to say, but they spell everything, meaning they cast a spell, right? Again, this is all intentional, and I can't tell you how I know it, I just do. They spell everything, but you can just read posts. There are lots of reunion stories, happy and sad. Lots of thank yous to these people who volunteered to help. And she wrote that as if they're reading this, right? Instead of saying lots of thank yous to those people who volunteer. She's writing that like it's somebody, somebody other than me is reading it. I found that very telling as well. Very interesting stuff. There are other sites and local groups too. I've learned so much. There she says her husband's son tested. She tested. My other sister-in-law, which is my husband's sister, tested. Both my nieces have tested, uncles, and many cousins. I've never asked for help, although I could use it. Also, other sites such as MyHeritage and GED Match. So, now, a lot of people will say, well, you're way too analytical. You read too much into things, this, that, and the other. Yeah, that's possible. I've been that way my entire life. However, it has also kept me from some really dire situations and events as well. For some reason, this was really being pushed on me today, the DNA testing thing. So what I'm going to do, the next video that I'm going to upload is going to be a little bit about my alleged or supposed bloodline. That's going to be probably a two-parter, because as obviously I can get a little wordy and I don't want these to go above 15 minutes. I didn't want them to go above 10 until someday, hopefully, I can go live again. So get out there, make duplicate accounts, and subscribe. No, I'm kidding. But for real, I will be uploading more regularly. So if you're interested in hearing stories of high strangeness and how I think that the spirit realm is interacting with us in the here and now in real time, then by all means check back with the site and make sure that you are looking, because you probably won't get notified, but check the bell anyways. And check Buri and Gen 03 if you're interested in actually seeing the spiritual evolution, and if you want to hear some of the books, some of the scriptures from the Gnostic Gospels, the Apocrypha, the Bible as well, and also what did I recently get? Oh, the Book of the Dead, the Native American Book of the Dead, Hermetics, because this all plays into humanity's history, and every religion has a piece of a piece of a piece of a piece. And what I'm trying to do is go backwards in time to find out where it all came from, where is that source, and, to just walk this out to the best of my ability. Although I see things from a Christian paradigm, somewhat, it's not the same way that other Christians see things. I don't believe Christ did the work for us. I believe we have to do the inner work ourselves. I don't believe you can be just a piece of crap person and expect good things in your eternal life. And yes, I do believe that we are all eternal, but how you spend that eternity depends on you and the consent that you give and what you choose to do with your spirit and your soul. So we will talk again very soon. For some reason, this DNA testing thing was being pushed on me today. Coming up next, we'll talk a little bit about bloodlines. Tell me your stories of high strangeness. If you want to send a story in, have me read it anonymously, let me know, because this is not just about me. The reason I tell my stories is to try and get others to tell their stories, to let you know that you're not alone, and to to examine why are people behaving so much like they are of a hive mind. More soon. And remember, the high strangeness is out there. You just got to be watchful.